Jackie Rhodes spent part of the last decade in another war, this time the 807th MASH unit in Desert Storm. But she quickly realized this was a very different war. Coming home from Desert Storm.
The feeling I had was one of maybe embarrassment or maybe a little guilt. People were cheering us, and many of us were not exposed to real combat.
Through all the celebrations, Rhodes kept thinking about one soldier in Vietnam who brought his best friend to the field hospital.
And they had been on a patrol. His friend had stepped on a landmine, and of course he was blown to bits. His best friend knelt down and picked up pieces of his body, put it in a black plastic bag, and then walked 12 miles to our emergency room to make sure that his friend came back home. And I thought of that. I thought of that man because he never stayed. As soon as he made sure his friend was registered in Graves registration, he turned around and he walked back down this road leading to God knows where. And I still think about him and wonder if, wonder what happened to him.
Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission.
It was just a terrible feeling that they were sending these people to their death and we couldn't stop it.
Did you think it was going to blow up?
Absolutely. Because there's so much fuel involved, it creates a pressure sufficient to break up the vehicle into its component parts.
Now, the capsule that the astronauts were in actually survived this.
Yes.
It was propelled. You can see that on that film, too.
Yes.
Were they alive?
Yes. Perhaps not all conscious, but alive. And so NASA said they died instantly, just like they did in the Apollo fire, but they didn't die instantly. What caused their death was the impact with the ocean floor at over 200 miles an hour.
Sometimes there's a danger that one, with all the lights and all the success and all the cameras and all the articles and all the things, forget why you are here to begin with, and that is because you are playing the violin.
Well, now it is 20 years later, and Perlman still plays 90 concerts a year around the world. But he has also undertaken a new career, conducting.
Everything that everybody told me about conducting, I find not true.
What do you mean?
It's not easy, and it doesn't give you a sense of power. I think that the sense of power, I suppose, will come if what you want to do comes out. And it doesn't always come out unless you work.
Conductor, teacher, superstar. And what a fiddle player.
We bring you up to date on 10 extraordinary women who in 1986 went to an outward bound camp in the woods of Maine. What made them extraordinary is that each of them had a serious bout with cancer.
It taught me just to push myself and to challenge myself, and it gave me this group. These women know what I'm going through, and I love my friends, but they can't understand really what it is, and these people can.
Film has turned out more incredible and given me more opportunities than I ever imagined. But theater has always been it.
Spacey's first production, which he directed, opened in September to lukewarm reviews, but audiences seemed to love it.
Do you have a formal commitment to stay X number of years as artistic director?
No. I mean, I guess they could kick me out tomorrow, or they can come, when I'm taking my teeth out and going on stage as Polonius.
What part am I playing and when do I go on?
The death of Pope John Paul II presents something the world hasn't seen in over a quarter century, a papal conclave. And here is the field, the princes of the church, the College of Cardinals. 15 days after the Pope dies, all the cardinals under the age of 80, about 120 of them, convene inside the Sistine Chapel for a conclave. They cannot emerge until they elect a pope. The first to receive a 2/3 majority gets the job.
It's a political event, and anyone who thinks it is not doesn't know how it's done. The trick is to find someone who will carry on, I think, the prophetic vision of John Paul II in advocating for the rights of the poor, the powerless, the immigrant, the marginalized, the sick. He was extraordinary in that regard.
Sir Maurice Micklewhite, Michael Caine, for services to drama.
In 2000, knighted by the Queen, Michael Caine became Sir Maurice Micklewhite.
She said to me, "I have a feeling you've been doing what you do for a very long time." And I said, "Yes, I have, ma'am." I felt like saying, "And so have you, haven't you?" But I thought, I don't want the knife taken away immediately. I only had it about a minute.
You're 70, looking at 70.
Yeah.
How are you dealing with aging?
Very well. I regard it as preferable to the alternative.
To send more men into the jungle was only to invite more casualties. As they watched themselves almost 4 decades later, that afternoon in the highlands of Vietnam could have been yesterday.
Some of our group have a rough time with the war, and the rest of us try to get them to come to these military reunions with us, and it makes a lot of difference.
I went so long without talking about it, it all sounds kind of strange. You know, like that video looks more like a movie than real life, you know. I'm not holding a grudge, you know, against the Vietnamese people. They have their own right to their own country and their own belief. I didn't particularly care about their communist views, but I was just there to do my job. And I feel bad that I didn't get to finish my job, but nobody did.
In 4 days of battle, from October 10th to the 14th, the 1st Cav suffered 91 casualties. 11 men were killed. Their names can be found on panel 2E of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial.